Why, hello there, and welcome to another Gear Talk taking place every Thursday at 5 o'clock. I want to welcome you to this lecture where today we'll be talking about Dr. Cole, or Hana Cole, as she is also known. Hana, the pronunciation is still out for debate on which is correct. Yeah, so I'm not doing that. No, I'm not a glasses guy. I can see the glare the glare's just coming off everywhere. We're another Thursday, another Gear Talk. We're here to talk about Hana Cole today, the very last person that was on all the polls. She is the very, very last person we're going to be we'll see about that. Jury's out on what the plan for the very final person will be, but depending on how it goes, here you go, Hana. You're the last one out of everybody. So, today we're going to be talking about Hana and everything going on with her, what she's currently doing, and the history that she currently has with the Hivebusters, and even before that led to everything we currently know about her. Not too much. The wiki is very bare for her when there was a lot of stuff that happened in that DLC. A lot more than Tak. Tak. I keep getting his name mixed up. Tak. A lot more than Tak. And yet, for some reason, Tak's, I think, is longer than hers. Maybe because he was in the comics. I don't really know. But let's get to talking about Hana, or Hannah. It's kind of pronounced both. I stick to Hana because of the spelling, so talking about Hana Cole. For anyone who doesn't know, Hana Cole is pretty much the scientist and the second hand to the Hivebuster project, Team Scorpio. Right behind Hoffman. He says it like she is next in charge, like he is his first. So aside from him and Tak, which he has as a pilot, he also had to get a scientist that knew a lot about the chemistry, and who better than and we'll get to this too, but Augustus Cole's daughter, Hana Cole. She has, and I had to write it down because I'm horrible with pronunciation and I would forget them. She has advanced degrees in biology, toxicology, and chemistry, and overall she is a quite pleasant person to be around, per Hoffman. So that's what happens when we first meet her and we learn about her, but there is a history that happens beforehand, before we meet her, that is talked about. You see in collectibles, and you do know from her bio, and that's her earlier life when she was born, and she even talks about it herself in the DLC, even the relation she has to her dad, Augustus Cole, but the Cole train, I'm just going to call him Cole for this one. Hana and Cole, even though that is her last name, Cole will always be Cole to me. He is the original Cole train. She's like the little caboose at the very end. She's a part of the Cole train, but you can't beat the Cole train. So we're going to start off with her earlier life and kind of lead into everything, even right before we meet her, before she joins the COG, getting into that when she joins, and then when the DLC and the comics happen, when we meet her proper. So her early life begins when she's born, and this is pretty much after V-Day, but we don't know when. We don't have an age on her, but I'm guessing she's in her 20s, maybe very early 30s. But she's born, well, no, she would have to be in her 20s, because after V-Day there's a 25-year period. So, yeah, she'd be in her 20s. So, she's born to Cole, and we don't know the name of the mother. We do know from a collectible later on, we see that Cole has been wanting to have children. He's been wanting to be a father, but he never got that opportunity because he said, the world is too crazy. I want them to be in a safe world where they're happy and safe. Then I want children. And wouldn't you know, there just so happens to be the end of the Locust War, and along with the emulsion that's taken care of, the lambency is taken care of, a peaceful world we now have. So Cole hitches down with his wife. They have Hana, or Hannah, I'm going to stick with Hana, and from there on, they start to raise her. Now, while that's all going on with him being a dad, he also returns the thrashball. At this point, he's getting closer to his 40s. He's not there yet, but he's getting closer, and he starts thrashball up again. Now, while that's going on, he's raising his daughter. He loves his daughter, and we all know Cole. He's a peaceful, loving guy. Now, she gets to the age where she says, I'm not really interested in thrashball, and she's young. She's very young at this point. She's not interested in thrashball. She's interested in science, technology, learning, books, all of this. And Cole, being the Cole we know, even though thrashball is a main staple of his life, he is now the chairman of the new thrashball league. He wants his daughter to be happy. So he says, of course, you don't want thrashball? That's fine with me. Thrashball is my thing. It doesn't mean it has to be yours. So he goes through, and while she's growing up for holidays, birthdays, everything, they're getting her books, knowledge. She's learning. And she decides to go down the scientific route, much like her Uncle Baird, pretty much. Or I guess you could say great grandfather or great uncle Adam, I guess technically. Science is pretty closely connected with the cog. She decides to go to the university, and that's where she gets her degrees. All of this at a young age, by the way. Again, she's in her 20s. And she's already got 3 advanced degrees. So I'm guessing she has no, she's a doctor. So she doesn't have masters. She would have to have her her doctorates for those, because she is a doctor. She's Dr. Hana Cole. So she gets all of these, and at this point, this is roughly around when the Swarm make themselves known and present. Now, she is not enlisted yet, but once they show up, and this is like maybe a few months after, she enlists. Now, this is something that Cole really isn't a fan of. She wants to do it. She honors her dad. She joins the service like he did, but she's joining in the scientific route, so probably the officer ranks. He doesn't want his daughter dealing with the war. He just doesn't want that. At least as far as I remember, I don't think he was a big fan of her going into the army. I don't believe so. Maybe he was, but I believe he wasn't. So she enlists to pretty much help the science division, because she's learning, studying the Swarm, the hives, learning. She's a biologist. She's a chemist. A toxicist, I guess. She's learning. She's practicing all of these different types of knowledges to try and take them down. And this is when we get to the confrontation that leads to Hoffman taking her off. Well, she doesn't know at the time, but taking her away from the cog. Now, while enlisted, Hana came up with the theory, and this theory holds through all the way up until the end of the comics. So this holds through all the way through the Hivebusters to the present stuff we know. Her theory is the Swarm are connected to the hive minds. Now, obviously you get rid of one hive mind, you're not going to just take out every Swarm, but the Swarm that are like in that relative area of the hive that are connected to that hive, they have a very strong connection. If you go into the hive and you destroy the hive, that'll destroy all the Swarm that are attached to it. So you wouldn't have to go through and send foot soldiers and all of these different cog soldiers out to fight the Swarm. If you take out their hives, you kill them off. Why kill 30 of them with 30 people when you can kill 100 of them with like 5 that would go in and just do it? That was kind of the theory she was going with. And she brought this up to Jin, and Jin said, no, we're not doing that. We have our own plan. We're going to eradicate them with the DBs. We are doing this my way. And this also falls into Hoffman. Hoffman said, we can't just be sending foot soldiers. We need to do this like we did for, what was it called? Hollow Storm, I believe? I probably have it wrong. I love 2, and I don't know why I get the name wrong, but I believe Hollow Storm. So they would go into their territory and eradicate them like that. And Hollow Storm was pretty much effective. It really was. So she said no to both of those, and that's when Hoffman comes in and says, listen. And she knows Hoffman. Because of Cole, she obviously knows Hoffman. So he says, listen, my plan falls in line with your plan. I have a plan and an idea that can go with your plan. We connect ours together. You join me, and we're going to do this my way. Again, she has no clue he's doing a rogue operation at this point, but he says, let's work together here. So she says yes, and she goes through and she decides, okay, I'm going to create the Venom bomb. This is going to be the thing that's going to go in and just gas the entire thing. Now, the problem they all came up with that they had to figure out was, we need to find cog that are willing to go in, pretty much that have death wishes or want to die, or believe they can do it, or they're skilled enough to, because it was going to be a suicide mission. Everyone was aware. Maybe not Tack, because Tack was the pilot. He was kind of just there because Hoffman and him were chill. They're pretty much family, so he said, yeah, let's do it, Uncle Hoffman. I got no problem with it. Of course, for Hana, she was more like, this is the mission. So they get the team together, obviously with all the videos we've made, Lonnie, Keegan, and Mac, all of them together for their reasons they came together. And she expresses to him, like, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do. Now, none of this is her fault at all. Like, again, she just gets caught in the middle of this later on. But no one on the team is really seeing eye to eye, except for Lonnie. Lonnie, of course, is Lonnie. She's chill. But the problem is that they try to do the Venom bomb, they try getting in, but it is so heavily fortified, not even with fortifications, but just how many troops there are with the Swarm, they can't get all the way down, they throw the bomb, and it's not taking out the big hitters, like Snatchers, it's not taking out Wardens, it's not doing anything. So, she says, okay, we need to figure out how this can work. Obviously, like, we're missing something here. And then obviously with the DLC, we already got the Wakatu kind of previewed and kind of but like shown what it can do with its venom. So she says, because Mac brings it up, we need some of what he's got, and she says, you're completely right. If we've got that mixed in here, that's going to take care of the problem. Its venom kills them. My bomb kills the lesser ones. Put those together, and I think her idea was like, it's going to build on top of what the Wakatu's got, not just... Well, it would turn into a gas form. So, in a way, yeah, it's her gas technology mixed with the potency of the Wakatu. So, yeah, it complements each other with one being turned into a gas when it's very potent, and the other one needing something more potent even though it's a gas. So, it just blends together perfectly. So, they decide to go to the village over in the Pahanu area. I'm hoping I'm getting the names right still. My brain is just swimming with how much info I've been dropping with all this. So they go over to talk to the tribe, and Lonnie, it's her ancestral homeland, so they bring her with. Everyone's been taken, they're going through, they're fighting. Hana, at this point, also gets taken. She gets snatched. Snatched, what a great way to phrase it. She gets taken, and they hunt her down. Because, again, at this point, everyone has no issue with Hana. Hana's chill. Hana is cool. Everyone gets that. They go and rescue her, and they get her out of the snatcher. And this is when the idea, and Mac kind of thinks about it too, but she's thinking about it. If we do this, it would drop us off right into the heart of the hive. So if they were to take us, we get dropped off in there. We'd have to figure out how to wake up, but if we were in there, we put the bomb, and they don't know we're here, so we just run on out. And that's the plan. She gets saved, and while she's being taken back, the rest of the Hivebusters are fighting their way through. This is when the rogue mission is starting to be unraveled by everybody. And they finally are getting out of there. Wakatu pins down Team Scorpio, and out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, they knew Tak was coming back. Tak comes up in his bird, in his raven, and right there is Hana just destroying with the minigun attached to that thing, fighting off the Wakatu to save them. They get back onto the Raven, and this is where Keegan begins his little mini mental episode. And he asks, did you know this was a rogue operation? Because at this point in the other videos we've talked about, he learns about it at this point. And again, Hana has no clue about this. So she says, what are you talking about? I don't know anything you're saying. I came to get you guys and get you back to Hoffman. I don't know what's going on. I was snatched and I'm here now. I don't know what you're talking about. So they get back, and this is when everyone learns about the rogue mission. I think the only person that wasn't really taken aback was probably Tak, because Tak was just in it for the pilot. He was doing it for Hoffman. He's not a part of the cog. As far as I'm aware, he's not. It's pretty much decided they're going to continue what they're doing, and Hana's kind of the first one to say, we still have to do this. We still have to save the people, rogue mission or not. So give it to Hana. She was willing to just bust through and stick with everyone, even her knowing things are bad. And she's the scientist of the group. From there on, we have it where the Hivebusters, Team Scorpio, well, they are the Hivebusters. They go through and they actually fight the Wakatu, and they win. Give it to them. They win. And they get themselves some of the venom. Now, Hana is very smart, and I know in science this is kind of possible. The idea of if you have the venom or the poison from a creature, or if you have it from an animal or from a plant, if I'm aware, and I think I've heard about this before, you're able to kind of synthesize everything together, or you're able to get the DNA sequence, and you can kind of make a homemade batch of whatever it is that you're looking at. For instance, rattlesnake venom. If I remember right, I think when it comes to scientists, they're able to get the chemical compound of the rattlesnake venom, and they can kind of make it an at-home version. They can make a what's the word for it? Where it's not made naturally. It's made it's like bleach. Bleach isn't normally found. It's not a normal thing. It's man-made. That's what I'm looking for. A man-made rattlesnake venom. I know that exists and they can do that. I know with poisons they can do that venom, so I'm thinking that's what she did, because they're not going to keep going to the Wakatu and getting more venom from the thing. They almost died doing it once. I don't think they'll do it again. The Wakatu did it because it was beaten. They're not going to go there and he'll be like, well, you beat me once. Here, get my glands. Take as much as you'd like. No. It will fight them again and possibly kill them. So I'm thinking she just made a man-made version of it, and that's what she's using to put into the bombs. Unless she's using a very slim amount of it, and they would have to go and replenish. They get it back to her, and you start to see her engineering her, like, because she is also considered to be an engineer. She does create inventions and stuff. It's not just chemicals she works with. So she's sitting there making the respirators. She's sitting there making, well, they already made the armors, but they give them the armors. So she's doing respirators. She's doing the new Venom bomb. She's making all of this by hand. And Hoffman's right there. So it's not like she went somewhere else to do it. She can make it on the spot. She's a very skilled scientist. Like, she's probably right up there, probably right under Baird. I would say, like, out of all the scientists we know, she's probably on the bottom barrel, but we don't know a lot of scientists. She's like in 4th place. That's what I'm talking about here. We have her making all of that, and then we get to the comics where we have her theory she talked about originally put to the test. They're now all going to Breville after the mission success over in Pahanu, over at Sanctum, and they are now going to go and do it again. Now, this is where she wants her theory put to the test. If we destroy this hive, what happens to the creatures attached to the hive? Well, they go through and they actually do it. They beat that warden. One of my favorite scenes from all of Hivebusters, the comics and the DLC, fighting that warden. And they beat him and they put it down. And as they're leaving, they're driving away, they do notice that there are still swarm that are still alive. So that proves that Hana's theory doesn't stand up. If you destroy the hive, the swarm will still be alive if they are outside of that blast radius. They will still live. And that was the problem Hana came to at the very end, is like, well, that kind of throws everything out the water, because if we do this, if my plan would have worked, we can just take out hives and we're killing off the swarm. Problem taken care of. The current problem, it's still effective, but now the issue is we just have to go and keep destroying hives and stop their like base of operations for things. They can still make more. So all we're doing is kind of just minimizing how many they're making and slowly chipping away. Like, if they could permanently take them out and it would take out the ones attached, they'd be doing huge chunks here and there. But they're not. They're only slowing the manufacture of more soldiers. So she's probably going to try and figure out a new plan, but there's not much else she can probably do. And that's pretty much it for Hana. I can't think of anything else. That's where her story ends. She might be the next in line after Hoffman for some reason. Well, not for some reason. She's very good at what she does, and she's smart. She's the scientist of the group. She's sitting in the back, except for that mission scene she went out with. Great level. And yeah, that's Hana. Aside from being Cole's daughter, she respects him, but she hates talking about sports. I guess that's what you need to know. Where will she be in 6? I think she will be helping out with the main group of people that'll be staying behind and doing comms and everything. She's not a frontline fighter. She'll definitely still be alive, probably. And I think that's about it. That's Hana for you. That's the last Hivebuster I can think of I had in my polls. So, I mean, that's going to do it. We still have some more videos. We're not done with the discussion series yet. But that'll do it for today. I want to thank everyone for making this possible. Thank the patrons for making this possible. Everyone for watching. I'll see you guys on the next Gear Talk when we talk about... I got a few things listed down. I'll pick out one of the last few things. That'll do it. Thank you guys so much for everything. Thank you for watching. See you later. See ya!